I'm excited to introduce Dr. Ashley Austin. She has grown to be one of my very close colleagues and someone I just really enjoy working with. Ashley is a researcher and a practitioner that focuses on reducing disparities in health and treatment for LGBTQ people. She is a transgender affirmative practice. She teaches, she writes, she advocates. She does all the things, and she is one of the purveyors of the evidence-based program AFFIRM, which happens to be the only evidence-based program that is in the California Evidence-Based Clearinghouse for LGBTQ youth. And this program is phenomenal. She's not going to talk about it today, but I am going to put her website in the chat because this program comes in many forms. It has been adapted many times. It's been replicated all over the United States and internationally. So definitely worth checking out if anyone is looking for a good program. And I am going to pass it to Ashley. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Angela. I'm excited I got to see the baby. So hello, everybody. Dr. Ashley Austin, she, her pronouns. As Angela said, I'm one of the developers of the AFFIRM interventions, and I'm not going to talk about them, but I'm going to give you a little tidbit or a little sort of sneak peek into one of our interventions as we go through it today. And I work along with Dr. Shelley Craig, who's the sort of co-creator and co-developer along with me. What we're going to do today is work on something called a self-compassion break. And a self-compassion break comes from the work of Dr. Kristen Neff that I think Angela is going to also put in the chat, Dr. Neff's website. I'm going to give you like a tiny little taste of self-compassion, but Kristen Neff's career and research and scholarship is built around this work, and it's pretty amazing. And what mindful self-compassion is, in a nutshell, is learning how to be a good friend to yourself when you are experiencing pain and suffering. And so I thought it would be nice to do a self-compassion break today. We're thinking about joy, we're thinking about resilience, and we're thinking about hope, kind of what we do, but also how to cultivate that in times of stress, right? We're all gathered here together to sort of, and I think we're hearing sort of the need to fight, to rise up, to stand, to do all of this work. And in that, part of the way that we cope with all of that and have access to joy and access to resilience is sort of how we cope. And so self-compassion is a really helpful way to cope. And so one of the reasons, so Shelley, Angela mentioned that Shelley and our intervention is one of the only evidence-based interventions for LGBT youth, and it's the only one in the California Evidence-Based Clearinghouse. So when we create it, we integrate interventions or components that are also evidence-based. So the nice thing about self-compassion and why we've integrated is it is an approach that has a lot of evidence for supporting all the things that we want to do and getting rid of all the things we want to get rid of. So self-compassion is associated with things like joy, well-being, resilience, coping, connection and belonging even. And then it's also sort of associated with the lower levels of things like depression, anxiety, even shame. So as we think about what we need in today's times and as we face complicated legislation, I'm in Florida, by the way, as we work from and in states that are really challenging our young people and challenging us, we need more things that can help us. And so we are not always getting compassion from everyone around us, but self-compassion allows us to treat ourselves in the way we deserve to be treated. And the outcome suggests that we can give ourselves the help we need and the love and the kindness and the compassion that we need. And so there's a lot to say about this, and I have very little time, and we're going to go through an exercise, so I need to monitor myself. But what I want to do is invite all of you to engage in this practice with me. And to do that, we're going to do something a little different. You're going to have to listen to me to go through it. But your focus really, what I'm going to ask is that you turn your focus inward. That you actually, if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes, but you can certainly look away from the screen and focus on something that allows you to tune inward. And what I want you to do is first focus on your breath, just noticing your breathing. You don't have to change it or deepen it. Just notice how you're breathing. Is it slow, fast, deep? Sometimes as we turn our attention to something, it shifts. That is totally okay. Notice if it shifts when you attend to it. Just notice the existence of this. Our breath is our life force, right? So notice and tune into that. As we breathe, I want you to now turn your attention to your body. Many of you have been sitting and working and staring at your screen. Notice if you need to shift to get more comfortable. Is your back comfy or uncomfy? How are your sit bones? Do you need to shift a little? Just want you to bring awareness to the body that is inhabiting the seat, or if you're standing, noticing your feet on the ground, your legs, tuning into yourself in space and time. We can't engage in self-compassion. We can't tune into ourselves and our own needs. So you're tuning into this. And for me, I tend to keep a lot of tension in my jaw. So maybe you're like, yeah, I'm comfy. Check your jaw. See if you're clenched. See if you need to release. And as we do that, I'm going to ask you to sort of then begin to tune your attention into your thoughts. I'm going to ask you to think about your thoughts under certain circumstances. The circumstance I'm going to ask you to think about is when you encounter something really stressful. And I'm not going to go to a 10 today. Let's not in this practice think of things that bring us to a 10, but maybe things that bring us to a 5 or 6. And we've been talking a lot about a lot of the stressors impacting our lives, our young people. They are policies, they are people, they are beliefs, they are system changes, they are rollbacks. Those things can be really daunting. And what I want to ask you to think about today is, how do you manage yourself in response to these stressors? Sometimes these external stressors inadvertently, but all too commonly, become internal sources of stress. They affect our inner dialogue, how we talk to ourselves, how we think, the words we say to ourselves. Sometimes we forget and accidentally adopt other people's beliefs as our own, even if they don't serve us. Self-compassion is a way to be more mindful about the inner dialogue, whether we become our own critics. I heard earlier the word bully, making sure as caregivers we don't become our child's first bully. Want to make sure we don't become our own bully, right? Sometimes we can become our first or our biggest bully. So self-compassion really helps us be aware of that. So as you think about yourself and how you respond to things, maybe your own mistakes or shortcomings or mess ups or challenges, right? None of us are perfect. So how do we respond to that? How do we respond when we hear things about us that are unkind? Do we accidentally buy in or lean in or have self-doubt? And today we're going to practice changing that dialogue. If you already practice self-compassion, then we're just doing more practicing. If it's new to you, we're learning it so that you can practice more. The first tenet of self-compassion that we're going to focus on is mindfulness. Mindfulness in this particular setting, in mindful self-compassion work, according to Kristen Neff, means tuning into our feelings, connecting with our feelings with a sense of non-judgment. So I can feel my feelings, acknowledge them without judging myself. I can accept them without criticizing myself. This recognition that all feelings are okay. Feelings are just feelings. So just thinking for yourself for a minute of some of the feelings that come up for you when you are faced with a challenge or when you experience a personal shortcoming or a criticism. Notice those feelings. And what I want you to practice today is thinking about a mantra or a self-compassion statement that you'd like to be able to say in response to that. An example might be, I feel really hopeless right now, but I felt this way before and I know it's not forever. So the other thing about mindfulness is this recognition that we can feel our feelings, acknowledge without judgment, but also recognize that feelings are not forever. Feelings are not static. They ebb and flow. That's part of human existence. We are going to feel some yucky ones, but we're going to move through them. So think of a mantra that for you makes sense. Ouch, this hurts. Or I feel scared, but I know I won't always. So think of a word or a language that you can do, and maybe it's something you've already said, and sort of commit to saying that again. I ask that you write this down on a Post-it note, say it in your phone if you've got a voice memo situation going. Just give yourself this moment to take note of the mindful statement you might want to use when feelings come up for you. Okay. Could be an image also of waves ebbing and flowing, things that for you might work. The next part of self-compassion is common humanity. And it's this idea that we can support ourselves around difficult feelings and experiences, all of them, not just LGBT specific stressors, but all stressors. When we recognize the common humanity, as humans, we will experience stress and suffer. There is no better way to talk about common humanity than in a Zoomathon, I've decided, with a lot of folks gathering together to support one another and to support young people as they journey through tough times and good times collectively. So if you need a visual of common humanity, this might be it, right? If you need a recognition that there are others in this same boat, that there are others who experience things like you do, tune into this moment. I think some of the story we read about sort of that was read to us about ancestors in Hawaii, like how amazing is that to think back of common humanity throughout time and across cultures. So you might say something like, there have been queer and trans people throughout history and throughout across cultures, and I am one of them. I am among them. I am part of this beautiful, rich community, right? And so as you see, I'm a hand talker, those of you who are looking at your screen, but actually in this case, part of common humanity and self-compassion is that as we say, I am part of a big, beautiful, queer community, that we also can use touch to strengthen self-compassion. And there's actual evidence around the healing effect of our own self-touch. And so you can do it over your heart, you can do it on your chest, you can give a hug. So those are ways that you can practice strengthening it. Those of you who are off screen can do it without feeling any weird way about it. I'm doing it on screen. But that's a really important thing. So think about your common humanity statement. We're in this together. I am not alone. If you feel inclined, you can place those statements in the chat. The last component of self-compassion is self-kindness. This is a way of being your own best friend, your own biggest cheerleader, your own source of loving kindness. And to do so when you are encountering stress or pain or suffering and embarrassment or shame, think about, what do I need to hear right now? And that is hard sometimes. So you might think about, what would I say to a friend in the same situation? What would I say to someone I love if they were feeling this way? And those are the statements that we need to say to ourselves, that we practice saying those things instead. This is the polar opposite of tough love, the polar opposite of beating ourselves up. So it might be saying something like, I know my life has meaning and purpose, even if others don't see it, or I am enough, or I am real, I matter. Those are the kinds of things. I am doing my best. I've done all I can today. So think about the statement that works for you and practice saying these, right? So it is a practice. If you think about doing it now, practice over and over, and it'll start to replace the less helpful forms of self-talk that maybe you've used. And as I close out, I want to just say something that one of a queer yoga guru that I was in class with last night, and I like to go to, says, I like it a lot, so I'm going to say it to you all. Honor all that you are and all that you are becoming. And I think this Zoomathon allows us to become all the things that we want to, and allows our young people to become all the things they want to. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I really appreciated that moment to check in with ourselves, to do something for ourselves in this space, and to learn some tools that we can keep using as we go through the current events, right? And go through life right now. So thank you so much for being here.